So I'm Hayley Whiteley. I'm the author of the young adult fantasy series, The Carafin Chronicles. It's a trilogy, and the first book came out in January called Ink and Ore. It's basically like Divine Rivals meets Shadow and Bone. It's a gaslamp fantasy about friends who find a hidden letter claiming that the war between their countries started over a lie, and they go on an epic quest to end the war.
That's just it's on my my next to read list at the moment. I'm really excited for it. What was
Oh
your
yeah.
what was your inspiration for the Carafin Chronicles?
Um, so I first started writing it like I'm 29 now, and I first started writing it when I was probably like in middle school. Like this original the story, like the first iteration of it. And I kind of like gave up and just stopped writing that one. And over the years I wrote like a bunch of different books and or I like tried to and I never finished one. And like almost like a year and a half ago, I decided to pick this one back up because I still remembered those characters and I liked the central story and like wanted to try it again. So honestly, it's like hard to remember exactly what inspired it. But at that time, well, I still do. I like to read a lot of like classics, and also YA fantasy. And so I think I was inspired by like kind of combining some of those things. Like I really liked Heidi, and that was a big inspiration for like some of those Switzerland type settings. And like one of the main characters is like um kind of isolated in the mountainous region, and that's why she started writing letters to the other girl in the other country because she like kind of didn't have any friends in this really rural area. And that was definitely like inspired by Heidi. And also like I grew up in a rural area,
Yeah,
and so that was kind of like relating to.
it's really cool that it's like you started in middle school and then you've gone back to it. It's so really cool.
Yeah, like when I was that age, I made the characters younger
Yeah.
because like I don't know, like I guess at the time, I mean, I thought like being, I don't know, 14 or something was like old, like too old to to go on a quest or something. But but like the characters ended up being kind of like immature, I think, because I was like keeping them true to what I had imagined of them when I was actually like that age.
And now we have all these other stories who have young 11-year-olds going on quests, so I'm not too young. What drew you to writing in the first place?
Um, I just always like love writing stories and I just always come up with ideas. Like I love reading, but it's hard for me to read like a whole book without getting some new idea of a new story I want to start. And I have to try to like reel it in and not try to start a new work in progress without finishing what I'm doing because I have like a bad habit of doing that. And I also just always have like crazy dreams. Like my husband sometimes calls them like crazy crack dreams. Like they're just really vivid and like a lot of stuff happens. And sometimes if it's a cool dream, I'll like write down what happened. And a lot of times that inspires me. Like for the Caravan Chronicles, that was one where I do remember, even though I was like, really young, I remember that I had a dream about these two main girls. And like I remember writing that down when I got up, and that was like how I kind of even thought of them in the first place.
Got a whole book full of like ideas that you're like, this I might go start working on soon.
Yeah, I used to keep an actual notebook. Um, well, I was also like trying to, I don't know, like lucid dream. So they say you should like write down a notebook. So I used to keep a real notebook, but now I just like put notes in my phone. So I have like my notes app is like full of story ideas. And I have a whole folder on my computer of like story ideas that I either haven't started or I like have started, but I'm trying to finish this series.
Don't want to put too much work on yourself.
Yeah. And I'm like a really slow writer too, so it'll take me forever to get through my ideas.
What was your process for writing your books? Are you
Um,
more of a
so
plotter or a pantser sort of? Do you plot?
I used to be a pantster, like everything I would do, I would just kind of be off the cuff. And like some people that works for them, but for me, I like literally never finished a book. And I mean, like I even said it was like over 10 years of trying on and off. I mean, sometimes like when I was like in college, I didn't really try to write at all because I was like so busy. But I tried a lot and never finished anything. So then I decided to try to be a plotter, and I basically do that now. So now I kind of like think of the key beats and then I break it out into each scene, and I try to like make sure there's the right amount of scenes for the end word count goal that I want. Um, and I like try to have a drafting goal like every single day, or sometimes I'll only do like the weekdays, but I have like a whole calendar of how many words I'm supposed to write every day to like keep me on track, and the whole scene like Excel sheet that I keep my progress in, and and I like update all. It's like all color coded and
Yeah, keep you on top of everything.
yeah. So that's the process, I guess.
It's a very good process. I think if I was to write a book, I would need to be a bit more of a plotter than a pantser myself, just to keep that so I don't get distracted too much.
Yeah, and even within like a chapter, the characters will still like, I mean, it sounds kind of crazy to say it like that, but like they'll go rogue and do something I didn't want them to do. And it's like, oh wait, I'm the one writing this. I could make them not do that, but it just seems right. So it's I still have to go back and update the outline a lot when that happens.
They have a mind of their own.
Yeah. They kind of do. Like it's like if you already came up with, how the character is supposed to be,
Mm.
then they just have to stay true to that, I guess.
How did you choose which character to center the story around?
So in this one, I made it where the two girls are like equally weighted protagonists. Um, and I wanted to do that just because I don't know, I like wanted to do something different and try to just like, especially when I was first like starting, I wanted every single convention to be like thrown out the door, like,
Yeah.
and with I think if I was like, for future books, I won't do that as much because like the conventions are there for a reason. But I just like really wanted to change everything up. So I made those two girls like the equal protagonists, and they have like the same amount of chapters, and um I was hoping that like the people would be identifying with both of them like equally. But I picked them partially just because since they're from the two different sides that are in the war, I thought they would like represent sort of like both sides, and there wouldn't just be like a good side and bad side, or like a good guy and bad guy. It'd be more like nuanced, like things are in real life. Like there's good people in just every place. And I also wanted them to be just really ordinary girls, like not like, I don't know, a princess or like a trained fighter or anyone with any, I really didn't want anyone that had like any sort of skills or like anything special about them, because I just felt like I never related to that. Like, especially the ones that, they're already like good at fighting and stuff, or like an assassin or whatever. Like that, I can't relate to that at all
No.
because I would I would just like fail.
I would
Like
need a
there's
lot
no
of
amount of training that could help me to do those type of things. So like, yeah, I just wanted them to be regular. And also like whenever, in like wars affect a lot of people, of
training.
course, like just civilians and people who aren't necessarily like going through the big traumatic things, and they're not also soldiers. And so like I kind of wanted to focus on just how this is affecting some ordinary girls. And I kind of, now that I think of it, I think I was also inspired by like the American Girl dolls. Did you
Yeah.
ever know those? Even though you're not American, did they?
Yeah, I know what the dolls you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like regular girls, and
Mm.
they're always like there's these, I don't know, traumatic historical events going on around them, and they're just kind of like living their lives. And I sort of like put that into this YA fantasy. But of course, they end up having a bunch of stuff happen to them because otherwise it would just be really boring. But in the
They
beginning,
have,
they
they need to have something happen. Need some conflict.
yeah.
What was your approach to world and character building?
I wanted So I think that like especially world building is really fun. I wanted to incorporate just like different countries that I like or things I was inspired by, but also try to make it to where it was distinctly different from our world, especially in the ways that like people wouldn't have a bias of who they were kind of rooting for or anything, or like not make it like I was trying to make some current political statement, because I'm not. it's more just like a general message of like peace and friendship and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm like the two main countries, or I guess the three main countries in the conflict are kind of based on like Ireland, Portugal, and Switzerland. And, you know, those countries don't have like any kind of like beef with each other or anything. So I just take like the fun aspects and think about, and like, especially like the beautiful scenery and stuff and like places I've seen pictures of, and I've been to Ireland at least. And, like drawing inspiration from those places, just the like cultural things I like. And I kind of lost my train of thought where I was going with that.
No, that's right. Yeah, I think we do take you would take things from places we know and then just change it so no one can have actual, I know I'm going to take this side's perspective and run with it. I think it's a great good idea.
Yeah, and there's one country especially it's like more focused on in book two, it becomes a setting that is partially based on like Australia. So that ended up being a thing. It's like a penal colony, or it was a penal colony and now it's just a regular country. And so they sort of have like that background and it like has they end up having some beef with like the main continent. And
No,
so I hope
that tracks with Australia.
yeah, and it's like kind of desert-ish, but so that's kind of like how the world building is. Like I took those Australia aspects, but then the culture and like the way that they dress and stuff is more like Vikings type of clothes. So it's just things that don't really make sense together, but they just make their own unique place.
What makes sense in your world?
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite moment to write in the book?
Um, I think yeah, I liked writing the end the best, like the ending sequence. Um, at least for the first one because like I was getting more in the swing of it and I feel like getting better as a writer and like staying better more in the characters' heads and so it just came easier to write it. And for the second one, which is coming out in March and it's written that one, well, I thought it was just more fun to write, I guess, because I'm like I think improving a little by little.
Yeah.
But for that one, I think I liked the actually even the first one. I kind of like the romance scenes, like where they're having a moment, because it's just really fun and those ones always like come really fast and they're just like I don't know exciting. It's like I've been shipping my own characters and they're finally like getting together or whatever.
They're finally doing what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Has writing and publishing a book and changed the way you see yourself?
Um, I think a little bit. Like it's helped me be more confident and it was always something that I wanted to do like, since I was really young and people have a lot of stuff to say about, like writing isn't a good career choice or stuff like that and like kind of make you question it or feel worried about it. And so I feel like it gave me confidence to actually just do what I wanted to do and not worry about, I don't know, like is it successful or any of that stuff, but just like now people can read my story and it's exciting.
People can actually experience the world that you've had in your head and wanted to share with everyone. So who cares what
Yeah.
others think?
Yeah, and I actually have like found a lot of readers and people that have actually read it and have stuff to say and like, they say stuff about the characters that they'll be like, oh no, I hope this happens to them in the next one. It's really exciting like that they're visualizing the characters as, the same way I do.
Yeah.
And that's been exciting. I even had like, I don't know, I've had a couple like people do like fan art and fan edits, just a couple, and they like were just like what I imagined pretty much. Um, and that was just really cool to see like that I guess like what I wanted definitely came across since the picture in my head was exactly what they like came up with too. And so that was like exciting.
It's very special when you sort of run into readers and they're like, I've actually read your book and I loved it.
Yeah, I went to one like it was like a fantasy ball type of thing. And like as an author, they had like a little market thing before the dance part. And I was like so excited. A couple people came up and they had already like read my book and were like just able to talk about it. And I was like, "What? You've already read it?" And I don't know you. That is so exciting.
I think that's
is just really fun.
I think it's the events where authors can meet readers and interact is like the best things that could happen. And sort of we have a couple of like conventions here in Australia, but never to the extent of what America has. So it's really I'm like, come on, we need to improve the the interactions over here, guys. Like the small events, but nothing really big where a big collection of authors sort of share and we can just chat about books.
I saw one author that I follow, like an indie author, go to a convention in Australia recently. I forgot what it was called, but it looked really fun. And I was thinking, like, I don't know, I was thinking I would totally do that if I could, just so I could like write off the flight on my taxes. Because like I would love to go there, and I think that's like the only way.
The it's a if it's to share your book, I think it would be a great business expense. Come over.
Yeah, exactly. Just like see the kangaroos and maybe sell a book or whatever.
Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer or continue writing now? Because since you sort of were more in middle school when you really
Yeah,
started.
yeah, like I don't know. I'm trying to think. I have a lot of authors that I love. I guess they inspired me because I would just love to write something like them. Like I of course love like Leigh Bardugo. Um her stuff is so good and it makes me want to like be a better writer and make stories that like make other people feel the way that those stories made me feel. And this is the same way with a lot of like my favorite books. And like last year when I was kind of getting started in like the indie world, I got to talk a lot to like Penn Cole just online, who wrote like the Spark of the Everflame, and she is so nice and she's really inspired me seeing like I don't know how much that book has blown up and like I just see people recommending it everywhere, and that's like really inspiring to see how that's all gone. And the books are like really good and like just really drew me in. So I'd love to write stuff like that myself.
What advice would you give a writer working on their first book? And if you had it, were you given any advice when you were writing that stuck with you?
Um, I don't know. I guess I would give them advice of, well, just like, just finish it. If you're not finished, like, do whatever it takes. Just like, don't worry about if it's good or if it'll ever be a success, whatever. Cause like, you can't really, once you have something, you feel so much better and like so much more confident and you can just grow from there. And also maybe like don't worry about your social media until you're done if that's like distracts you because it can be like people say you need a platform and stuff to publish, but it can be a huge time suck when you're drafting. So if you're struggling at all to finish it, just don't even like use social media. Like I didn't have any accounts or anything when I was like drafting this book for the one that's already out in Kenor because I was just like too distracted. And once I wasn't drafting and could focus that time on social media, I like could grow it quickly.
Yeah.
So that would be my tip. And there was one that I heard that like helped me a lot is like just I I'm trying to think of exactly how it was phrased. I can't remember, but basically just like, your first draft can be however you want, just, like you're just getting it out on paper and you're just like kind of telling yourself the story, and thinking of it that way helped me to not worry too much about thinking about like how bad this is that I'm writing, just getting it out there.
No, it's always better. You can edit something that's on paper. You can't edit nothing that's there.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's one thing to visualize this awesome story, but it's another thing to like, have it out on paper. It's a lot harder to make that step. So once you've just drafted it, you've really accomplished a lot.
Do you have a favorite writing snack or drink?
Um, no, not really. I like try to not eat or drink anything when I'm writing actually, because like otherwise I'll just snack and like eat a ton of stuff without noticing it.
That's just like a snacking mood instead of a writing mood.
Yeah, it's like if you get into it and you're just like
This is actually nice. I prefer to do this.
yeah, Yeah, exactly.
Do you play music while you write?
Sometimes like sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Like the music that I like is like generally pretty different than the vibe of like a historical setting, fantasy setting type of thing. So like sometimes it can be distracting. Like I usually like listen to like rap and R&B, and that's like the type of music I like. And it's like these, girly characters doing all this fantasy stuff. It's just like totally, it's not really the vibe. So sometimes I have to turn it off if it's distracting me. I tried some other like writers that I am friends with have suggested like their playlist, and it's like, classical stuff or like epic like soundtracks from movies type of stuff. And that can really like it can get me in the mood to write that scene, but it's hard for me to listen to. I just think it's boring.
I think classical music, don't think I could even read to classical music. It's a tiny bit boring. Where I work, they on a kick with like violin, Bridgerton sort of style music,
Oh,
and I'm like, I love it, but now it's getting annoying. It's every
like
day.
do they play it all the time, like out loud?
I work it in a school, so it's our school bells, and like they're different songs, but it's the same songs every day.
Oh,
I'm like, I can't do it anymore, guys. I love it, but I like no get you like Bridgerton, but this is too much.
yeah, that would get annoying. I do like those, especially when it's like, yeah, like the modern songs, but it's just played with like a string quartet or something. Those can
Yeah.
be pretty cool. That's what I did for like my wedding ceremony. I picked a whole playlist of that, and it was kind of nice.
It'd be nice for like that.
Yeah, not like when you're, I don't know, especially if you're trying to distract yourself from work or something. Like you want something that not boring.
Something to set the mood and the scenes, but then I can not get bored listening to. And my final question is, who has been the biggest supporter of your writing?
That one is actually kind of easy. Like my husband, he's really supportive of it. And really sweet. Like we've been together, I guess like 9 years or so now. And I've always been like kind of idly talking about wanting to like, write a book, or I really should get back to that work in progress that I haven't touched in months or whatever. And he's always like taken it really seriously, not like this is just some like idle dream, but like, you're a great writer. You have to like really do this. And like last year I don't know. I wasn't even sure if I should like try to self-publish or how that would go at all. And I was saying like, if if I get an editor and stuff, I'll have to sell like hundreds of copies. I don't think I would ever be able to do that. And he was like, yeah, you will. That'd be easy and stuff. And and I was thinking, really? But all the stuff that he said, like that I have been able to do and like meet those goals and stuff. So he was right. And like he saved a file for me of all my maps that I had drawn over the years. And I didn't even know that he had saved them. Like I thought that I had just thrown them away. And like I was able to pull those back out. Like throughout our marriage, I had just been like updating my map.
That's so cool that your husband supports you, and I think it's fantastic that the ones closest to you actually are like, no, you actually can do this.
Yeah, and he really liked the book too. I was kind of surprised. Like I thought he might think it was like a girly book, but he like hated Throne of Glass, which I like he didn't even finish it, but he like disdainfully DNF'd it, and that was sad. But but he liked mine, and I was really surprised by that because it is kind of like a girly book, but he thought it wasn't too bad. Even the kissing scenes he thought were okay.
That's really good.